Part 26. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 251. March 7, Zillowa and others all took action one by one. Bo Chang looked around in the train hall. I didn't find anything wrong. Would you like to go somewhere else? Bo Chang thought. Zillowa, March 7, and King K went to other places to search, including Dan Hung. Just as Bo Chang was about to leave, he suddenly noticed something. Wait, did the train have that mirror before? And the mirror is actually broken. Bo Chang frowned slightly. The full-length mirror was placed in the corner of the train hall. It looks like it's broken, with a big hole in the middle, but something different can be seen through it. The more Bo Chang looked at it, the weirder it became. Especially since no one seemed to notice. It's even weirder. Could it be, is this the strange thing Pam talks about? Bo Chang narrowed his eyes slightly. But right now, Seeing actually ran to the mirror in a flash, and it seemed that she also noticed it. And then, Seeing struck a pose in front of the mirror. Why am I so beautiful? Bo Chang. Seeing didn't stay in front of the strange mirror for long. She took a second look and then looked for someone to ask about the mirror. Both GZI and Walter Young said they couldn't see any mirrors. When Star tells Pam about the mirror, the frightened train conductor trembled. Wow! There must be something weird about Papa Pam. Think of a solution quickly, Seeing. Pam urged. Seeing looked at Bo Chang. He didn't need the other party to ask. He smiled and said, I can also see that mirror. It's indeed a bit strange. Can only you two see it? Walter Yang frowned, not knowing what he was thinking. Pam spoke and urged the two of them to take action. Bo Chang thought for a moment, took out his storage bag, reached out and touched inside, and found the super flashlight. This item has the ability to break illusions. It's just right to use it as a mirror that other people can't see. Walter Yang, when he saw Bo Chang taking out the familiar flashlight, immediately guessed what the other person was thinking. Xingyi's eyes lit up. Bo Chang lit the flashlight without saying a word. A pure white light shone down. The moment enveloped the mirror. Space is distorted. In the eyes of Heimko, Walter Young, and Pam, a broken and strange mirror appeared in sight. That's it? Pam hid behind Walter Young, holding his knees with her two short hands, and her mouth trilled again. Only half of those cute big blue eyes are exposed. No one went near the mirror. But a girl wearing a hood appeared in the mirror. Her face was obscured by a weird mask, and her appearance was unclear. However, she had a pretty good figure. Bo Chang was still looking at it. The girl stepped out of the mirror and stood on the floor of the Stardome train. Bo Chang's eyes widened slightly. Not only Bo Chang, Seeing, GZI, Walter Yang, and Pam also saw it. Wow, is this the Stardome train? Said the strange girl wearing a hood. Zink didn't care so much, she pulled out a metal baseball bat and hit it, saying, Monster, take a hit from me. Pity. The bat passed through the girl's body and through the mirror. It's as if they don't exist at all. Don't do anything, I'm not a bad person, the girl said quickly, I am the messenger of Liu Guangyiding. I will stay on your train for the next few days. Please give me your advice. Liu Guangyiding is an organization that follows the star god Fu Lai. As messengers of memory, they abandon their physical bodies. Travel across the universe as a meme. Search for the most precious memories among the stars for Fu Lai. And now, the messenger from Liu Guangyiding came here just to remember. Under Seeing's inquiry, the messenger said a lot. Actually, we can follow you quietly and no one will find out, but, Yiding thinks you are special. You have extremely rare and precious memories, and you will get more in the future, so I think it's better to say hello to you. Speaking of which, The messenger from Liu Guanyiting suddenly felt something was wrong. Everyone seemed to be looking at her. Although the girl was wearing a mask and could not see her expression, she could feel the other person's surprise through her voice. "Wait, can you see me?" Heimko put one hand on her hip. "Gentle and beautiful oval face, please be gentle." Walter Yang pushed up his black-rimmed glasses and said, "It seems that the rumors are true. The emissaries of Liu Guanyiting have no entity, and only those who want to be seen can find them." "Ah! Didn't you all see me? What is going on? Wait, could it be that?" The girl looked at Bo Chang and the super flashlight in his hand. "About that prop. Lu Guanyiting actually understands something. I just didn't expect that even the disguise of the messenger could be easily broken, which is really incredible. The train is not a place where you come casually." Pam, who looks like a lop-eared rabbit, said angrily. The messenger girl waved her hands repeatedly. "Listen to my explanation first. I'm here for a reason, and I have no ill intentions toward the Star Dome train." GZI spread her hands and said, "Then you explain, we will listen." Under the condition of being illuminated by Bo's usual super flashlight. The messenger girl stopped pretending. He stated his purpose of coming directly. To put it simply, Liu Guanyiting wants to make a deal with Seeing. In the form of matter and light cones. Exchange precious memories with Seeing and Bo Chang. Certainly. These memories will not disappear. Liu Guanyiting is only responsible for copying them and will not take them away by force. The messenger girl's explanation didn't make much difference. Several people on the train still maintained a negative attitude. It's too dangerous to deal with Yiting, and the transaction about memory is also very strange. Walter Young touched his chin. Chapter 292, Everlasting. Originally, Lu Guanyiting only planned to trade with Seeing. It was discovered that Bo Chang could see. In addition, he took out a super flashlight and made it impossible for the messenger to hide. The girl wearing the strange mask changed her story. Count Bo Chang among them. Only. About matter and light cones. Bo Chang didn't care, and GZI, Walter Yang, and others all agreed, but Seeing wanted to give it a try. After some negotiations between the two parties, GZI reluctantly agreed to let the messenger stay on the star train. The main force among them was Seeing, and she immediately made a transaction to test the waters. The whole person stood motionless. Next, Bo Chang told Walter Young about Rax Hassa by the way. He even imitated the other party's words. "What kind of ferry boat doesn't it still have me? I totally can." When Walter Yang heard this, veins popped up on his forehead, and he said, okay, it turns out that Rax Hassa is really the murderer behind the scenes. Since you know, you should contact us as soon as possible." Walter Yang looked at Bo Chang. His eyes were slightly reproachful. It happened suddenly, and not long after I found out, Rax Hassa blocked me." Bo often scratched his head. "I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 252. There are only a few people who have teleportation rings at present. Walter Yang, Dan Heng, and others. None of them have them for the time being. If a sudden encounter occurs, even if Walter Yang and Dan Heng are notified, it will be useless. It is better to directly summon Bai Lu and Fu Xian. Or Seeing. However, it is a good thing that Bo Chang did not summon the three people, otherwise, after being swallowed by the terrifying existence in the coffin, the situation would be bad. Bo Chang has played all his cards, and he can only save his life in the hands of that monster. If it were Bai Lu, Fu Xian, and others, maybe they couldn't even open the teleportation ring. They were killed in seconds. This is a very cruel fact. Well, but I am very curious, why did Luasha block you, and the last time the Star Core Hunter came to you inexplicably? Walter Yang frowned slightly, and didn't mention the illusion. After all, it is normal for Bo Chang to tease the other party many times and provoke revenge, but it is a bit unreasonable for Blade and Luasha. What are they looking for? Is it just to get beaten? I don't know about that. Bo Chang didn't dare to say more. Walter Yang didn't pursue it, but guessed. Maybe the other party had something that attracted them. Think about it carefully. Bo Chang does have a lot of interesting props, so it's normal to attract a few thieves. The starry sky train is slowly leaving Luofu Xianzhou. Now you can still see the star rafts flying in the sea of stars. They are moving towards the distance of their location. I don't know when they will stop, or maybe they will keep sailing. The journey of Luofu Xianzhou ends. The next stop of the starry sky train is Pinoconi. It is a prison star that the company used to exile criminals. At least that was the case in the era when it was recorded. However, after the outbreak of the star core crisis, this planet fell into the arms of Tongzi star god. It is said that it has now been transformed into an extremely prosperous dream country. The starry sky train's affairs in Luofu Xianzhou have basically been handled. As long as the train conductor is ready, everyone can prepare to teleport. Go to Pinoconi. Scene is busy. Sanyuki, Kinkei, Jitsi, and Zillawa went to play mahjong. Bo Chang returned to his room. The black tower doll was still hanging up, sitting on the chair motionless. Hesitated for a moment. Bo Chang gave up the idea of playing with the black tower doll. Anyway, I have nothing to do, why not go and see Jingliu? Thinking of this, Bo Chang opened the storage bag and got in. As long as no one outside locked the storage bag. Want to go out? It's still very simple. The light from the outside world sprinkled from the round hole above, illuminating the entire storage space. The space inside the storage bag is not large. Only 10 cubic meters. A simple conversion is a cylindrical space with a diameter of 2.5 meters and a height of 2 meters. Combined with the empty round hole, it looks like being at the bottom of a well. As soon as Bo Chang entered, he saw Jinglu lying on the ground with his face up, his two big white legs spread out, as if he was holding a welcoming ceremony. Touching his chin and looking around, Bo Chang looked at which direction to go. Jinglu was probably heading for his frost sword. He almost grabbed the frost sword with his hand. Only the last centimeter. Seeing Bo Chang coming, Jinglu retracted his fingers. Use the skill of drawing a prison on the ground. Just control the space inside the storage bag. The light red light sealed the hole to prevent the sound from leaking out. Bo Chang said, Jinglu, you can't escape. 2 steps forward. Bo Chang lifted Jingliu's chin and threw the frost sword to the other side. With the immortal rope blocking and the demon sealing mouth shackle, it was extremely difficult for this white-haired and red-eyed woman to move. I don't know how long she struggled. It was only to the extent that she could barely touch the frost sword. It only moved more than 1 meter. Now she is still discovered by Bo Chang. Jinglu felt a little desperate, she just stared at the other party with her stubborn red eyes. Bo Chang said, you seem to be a little unconvinced, do you want me to let you go and fight again? His eyes lit up, Jinglu nodded immediately. Bo Chang's mouth corners rose. I'm just joking with you, you want me to let you go, you're dreaming. I'm not stupid. Bo Chang teased Jinglu. Looking at the other party's eyes that were about to spit fire, Bo Chang continued, tell me all your and Luasha's plans honestly, and, why are you looking for trouble with me? Jinglu rolled his eyes. With his mouth blocked by the gag, he could not drool. It was the result of Jingliu's efforts. He still had to speak. It was really a bit difficult. Bo Chang realized something, but he didn't dare to take off the demon sealing gag. Once the restraints are lost, with Jingliu's strength, it will be no fun if the storage bag is damaged. So Bo Chang ordered the immortal rope to loosen one hand. The rope of dripping blood to recognize the master is the same as the gun of oath. Bo Chang can give orders with just a thought. And there are various different postures for binding. Jingliu regained one hand and immediately tried to pull the gag, but was stopped by Bo Chang, who was quick-handed. "If you don't obey, then I will go crazy." Bo Chang grabbed Jingliu's wrist. With a slight exertion, a red mark was left on the opponent's slender white wrist. Jingliu's beautiful eyebrows frowned. The pain kept stimulating the brain. Bo Chang sat cross-legged on the ground and let the immortal rope tie Jingliu up like a caterpillar. He put it on his lap. Jingliu struggled, but unfortunately his feet and hands were tied up and he couldn't make any waves. Although this posture is not as shameful as before. The legs can also be closed. But a bad premonition arose in Jingliu's heart. The fishtail skirt behind her was suddenly lifted up. Bo Chang raised his big hand, and then dropped it hard. The sound of snapping is endless. Chapter 293, A Small Punishment. Jingliu had tears in his eyes. As one of the 5 heroes on the cloud, and as Jing Yuan's master, when had she ever suffered this kind of injustice? A whining sound came from his mouth. A drop of crystal saliva hangs from the gap in the middle of the mouth shackles. This time Jingliu finally couldn't bear it any longer. The round cannon became wet and tears fell from her face. She regretted it now. Why would you bother Bo Chang when you have nothing to do? Time flies in the sound of snapping. Pass slowly. A little punishment. Bo Chang let Jingliu go, then took out his pen and ink, adhering to the idea of saving, and directly used the water she shed to polish the ink. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 253. While doing it, he said. Next, I'll ask and you answer. If you don't obey, I'll get mad again. Bo Chang after some output. The depressed mood in my heart has been relieved a lot. One thing to say. Jingliu's skin is compact and elastic, and the feel is very good when playing. It is endlessly memorable. Faced with Ba Kang's power, Jingliu dared not disobey. Written by a woman with silver hair and red eyes. Bo Chang learned a lot of information. Although he could not tell the truth from the false, it greatly satisfied his curiosity. 5 xiaos on the clouds, white dew. Rakshasa's plan. After reading all kinds of news, Bo Chang felt a little headache for a while. Please let me go. Jingliu wrote this on the white paper. Bo Chang shook his head, tied her hands with the immortal rope again, and said, I never said I would let you go. At least for a period of time, Jingliu, you should stay here honestly. Finished. Bo Chang took off and left the storage bag. Jingliu. The ropes around him were getting tighter and tighter, and it even felt like they were entangled in wires. Even moving became a luxury. I want to go to the toilet. Jingliu thought this in her heart. The pain in her butt was still there, and she felt like it had been swollen. Bo Chang left his room. Come to the train hall. Star is still trading with the messenger girl. Since Walter Yang was watching next to him, Bo Chang was not worried. Sitting casually on the sofa. Pascal, go make a pot of hot tea. Bo Chang snapped his fingers. When everyone returns to the Star Dome train. Of course, Pascal also came back with Sophia, and they came back earlier than Bo Chang. Receive. The robot Pascal obeys orders and carries out the task. Bo Chang looked at the starry sky outside the window and recalled what he had learned from the Luofu immortal boat. The biggest gain is definitely Jingliu and Huan Wu, one is the envoy and the other is close to the envoy. Phantom can now be manipulated a little bit. Jingliu can only be treated as a slave and thrown into the storage bag. Even on the Stardome train, Bo Chang didn't dare to take Jingliu out. If March 7th found out, it would be terrible. That's right, I seem to be responsible for Kiryu's food, clothing, housing, and transportation from now on. It's not easy to raise a person. Let Bo Chang exile Jing. And reluctant to part with it. This was captured with great difficulty. Think about it this way, Huanhu is much easier to raise. Just giving it the magic power of the sheep charm is enough. Think of this. Bo Chang's heart recollected the vague words of temptation from back then. As everyone knows, Huanhu is an energy body, but in order to have an immortal body, she has a super powerful means of creation. Can directly fabricate the body. This also means that Bo Chang doesn't care what type he wants. Illusions can be transformed. And the price is Huanlong is going to have a baby. Bo Chang had his own worries and was also worried about the extermination king engaging in extravagance. In the end he just shook his head. The wait didn't take long. Pascal brought the tea that Bo Chang asked for. Not even 2 sips. Xin walked over from the side, sat down next to Bo Chang, and let out a long breath. How does it feel? Bo Chang asked casually. Xingdao, I'm a little dizzy, I didn't expect that I would have to fight inside. Fighting? Bo Chang was stunned. Xin nodded and said, yes, the messenger said that strong stimulation will make me relax my defense on the subconscious. Only in this way can they copy my memory. So that's it, doesn't that mean that we can improve our strength through that thing? Bo Chang touched his chin. By increasing actual combat experience, you can quickly improve your strength. Yes, and there are rewards to get, but, the messenger only allows the 2 of us to go in. Star spread his hands and explained. Walter Yang, GZI, and others could only stand and watch. If it weren't for Bo Chang's super flashlight, none of them had a chance to meet the messenger girl. Bo Chang put the teacup on Pascal's tray and said, that's interesting. I'll go in with you and have a look. Good. The stars smile. The 2 sat on the sofa drinking tea and chatting. Since they are also wearing the same couple's clothes, they look just like a couple. Certainly. The 2 are indeed a couple. Unfortunately, this atmosphere did not last long. Because Heimko and Hilwei don't want to play mahjong anymore. 4 are missing too. On March 7th, he ran over, grabbed Xin and Bo Chang, and hurried away. The time for playing mahjong goes by quickly. When Bo Chang returned to the room, it's already night. However, it is difficult to distinguish between day and night on the star train traveling in the sea of stars. It all depends on the clock to determine the time. The black tower puppet in the room is still sitting on the chair and hanging up. It doesn't look like it was online at all. As long as Bo Chang doesn't provoke him, the puppets in the black tower should not wake up at all. Unless something happens. Mirror flow that has been left for a while. Bo Chang entered the storage bag again. This time he didn't want to learn any information, but simply wanted to help the other party solve physiological problems. For example, eating and drinking water. After doing all this, Bo Chang fell asleep peacefully. Although Jinglu couldn't sleep, he was powerless to resist. Until the early hours of the morning. Bo Chang's mobile phone suddenly rang. The ringtone was full of volume. It woke up Bo Chang, who was sleeping soundly. He looked at his mobile phone with a bad temper. Oh my God. It turned out that the hacker girl was sending messages. Silver Wolf, I'll beat you. XN. Bo Chang saw those repetitive and meaningless messages. He knew what the other party was doing in an instant. It seems that this is the truth of being woken up by Silver Wolf every now and then. It doesn't matter, I'll turn off my mobile phone next time. Bo Chang did what he said. He turned it off directly and lay down to sleep. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. Bo Chang didn't sleep for long, and the mobile phone rang again. Even if it was turned off, it was useless. Fortunately, after being woken up for the second time, Silver Wolf did not come for the third time, so Bo Chang had a not so peaceful sleep. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 254. The next day came. GZI prepared a hearty breakfast. Welcome Ching-K, who has just joined the starry sky train. As for the messenger girl, that guy from Liu Guangying is not a member of the starry sky train. To be precise, if it weren't for seeing, GZI and Walter Yang would never agree to each other staying. Chapter 294. Listen to my quibbling. It will take some time before the starry sky train starts and goes to Pinoconi. Anyway, the train conductor is not ready yet. Bo Chang and others can only wait for a while. In the morning, Bo Chang, Xing, March 7, and Ching K continued to play mahjong. They only played a few rounds. March 7 pushed his hands and said, "Ah, it's boring to play like this, why don't we change to an interesting bet?" "What bet?" Ching K tilted his head. From before to now, everyone has used credit points to play mahjong. Now March 7 is a little tired. Xing said, "How about whoever loses takes off a piece of clothing? I think this is exciting." Bo Chang gave a thumbs up. Ching K was shocked and couldn't help covering his mouth, saying, "Ah, you guys are playing this big? Then I won't accompany you." "That's right, why don't we change it to drinking, whoever loses has a drink." March 7 made his own suggestion, and rolled his eyes at Bo Chang and Xing. Taking off clothes, it's really a pity that these two people said it. After hearing this, several people looked at each other. Finally agreed to March 7's way of playing. Because of the drunken young man's skills, Bo Chang put a lot of wine in the storage bag, and now it's just right to take it out. After a few glasses of wine, March 7, Xing and Ching Q's faces flushed. Although the mahjong girl didn't drink much, but it seems that Ching K is not good at drinking. She drinks the least, but her face is similar to March 7 and Xing. And as time went by, Ching K's mahjong skills continued to decline, leading to constant drinking. Ba Kame became the biggest winner. In order to defeat him, the three girls joined forces and cooperated with each other. Sanyuki also used her jade feet to seduce Ba Kame in a very insidious way. After 3 rounds of drinking, when it was noon, everyone basically fell down. Ba Kame drank less. Plus he had a better alcohol tolerance. He still had a certain consciousness. Sanyuki, Xing, and Ching K were lying on the table, snoring, and it was unknown when they would wake up. "Even if you use dirty tricks, you still can't beat me." Ba Kame stood up. He stretched his waist. Looking at the 3 girls lying on the table, Ba Kame was very kind to carry Xing, Ching K, and Sanyuki to the bed, so that they would not sleep on the table and cause their arms to be paralyzed by pressure. The girls wearing short skirts and bare legs lay neatly. It looks pleasing to the eye. From left to right, in order, they are Xing, Sanyuki, and Ching K. Of course, Ba Kame arranged them by height. If they were arranged by chest, Sanyuki should be in front of Xing. Don't ask. If you ask, it's because they've been measured. In the pink room, the 3 drunk girls were so charming that Ba Kame swallowed his saliva slightly. The romance option is enabled. Option 1, Xing's thighs are awesome, go touch them, completion reward, 100% increase in agility. Option 2, Sanyuki's thighs are awesome, go touch them, completion reward, get a random item, ranging from a matchstick to a Star Destroyer note, this type of item will. Option 2, Ching K's thighs are awesome, go touch them, Sanyuki's big pussy. Option 4, as a gentleman, I will never do such a thing to take advantage of others. I will pretend that nothing happened. Completion reward, praise of high morality at the fountain in the central square of the Baloberg Administrative District. You can consume 1 praise of high morality to salvage the treasure in the fountain. Note, this kind of prop will. Looking at the 4 options that suddenly popped up, Bo Chang fell into deep thought. After a moment, Bo Chang chose option 1. Touching your girlfriend's thigh is not against the law. But what surprised Bo Chang was, why can you get a reward for touching Xing's thigh? Logically speaking, now you should only get a reward for touching Kinkei's thigh, but because the relationship between the two is not up to standard, you can only get a big pussy pocket if you touch randomly. Or the big pussy pocket of March 7th. It seems that there should be some unexpected situation. Bo Chang thought about it. Step onto the bed. Then he stretched out his hands and gently stroked Xing's thigh. Xing is tall, has long legs, and exercises regularly. The touch of her thighs is very comfortable. Although compared to Sanyuki and Kinkei, Xing's thighs are slightly thicker, but they are also beautiful and powerful. It is a good material for running. Bo Chang's hand touched Xing's leg ring. The drunken gray-haired girl with a slightly red face felt something strange. She opened her eyes slightly and saw Bo Chang's face. Then she closed them silently. A faint moan came out of her mouth, which made Bo Chang's blood boil. Well, or, take Xing back to my room. Bo Chang had this thought in his heart. After all, Bo Chang couldn't perform well with March 7th and Kinkei beside him. But we have to get the reward first. Bo Chang continued the massage service. But at this moment, the door to March 7th's room was pushed open, and Zilawa said, Bo Chang, GZI asked you to eat, After seeing clearly what happened in front of me. Silva's voice was all stuck. There was a pause. Silva smiled awkwardly but politely. Sorry to bother you, please continue. Just as the door slowly closed, love options are triggered one after another. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on getting a 100% increase in agility. A warmth flowed through the whole body. Bo Chang's 5 senses seemed to be sharper. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, you're already here, why not let Chilava come in first and sit down. Completion reward, get random props, as small as matches, as large as a Star Destroyer. Note, such props will. Option 2, chase him out and say, Shilava, listen to my excuses. Completion reward, obtain random skills. Option 3, pretend that nothing has happened and continue doing your own thing. Completion reward, high moral approval at the fountain location in the central square of Baloberg Administrative District. You can consume a high moral approval to salvage the treasure in the fountain. Note, such props will. Yeah. Today's high moral praise has a pretty high explosion rate. Bo Chang muttered in his heart. Option 3 can definitely be eliminated directly. Between option 1 and option 2. Bo Chang chose the second one this time. I don't have any special thoughts, I just feel like I've already picked up a lot of props. I want to try out a skill. Bo Chang jumped out of bed and chased after him, saying, Zilawa, listen to my quibbles. Stop. Zilawa turned around and looked at Bo Chang, who grabbed her wrist. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 255. Quibbling. What do you want to quibble about? You and Xing weren't originally, everyone has seen it, but I didn't expect that you actually got Sanyuki and Kinkei drunk. Smelling the smell of alcohol in the air, Zilawa knew what happened, and she smiled. You don't want to drag me down with you, do you? Chapter 295 Missing Home. Zilawa was mentally prepared for these things. Seeing Bo Chang making a move, I wasn't surprised. On the contrary, Bo Chang suddenly ran out and grabbed Zilawa's wrist, which made people feel a little embarrassed. Not to mention quibbling. Obviously, there was nothing between Bo Chang and Zillowa. Even if Bo Chang completely ignored her, Zillowa wouldn't think there was anything wrong. So when she saw Bo Chang rushing out and saying words like quibbling, Zillowa felt embarrassed. At the same time, there was a little joy in her heart. But Zillowa didn't show it on her face. Her gentle face didn't show much expression, and Bo Chang couldn't tell. The system's voice sounded again in his ears. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on obtaining the skill, forced contraception. As the name suggests, you can avoid being a father. Ah! Bo Chang was slightly stunned, and then he was happy. With this skill, it can reduce a lot of unnecessary trouble. Zillowa's beautiful blue eyes flickered slightly, and she only felt that her wrist was a little hot when she was grabbed. What are you laughing at? Is this sentence strange? No. It's not strange, I just suddenly remembered something happy. Bo Chang shook his head, then let go of his hand and changed the subject. GZI has already prepared lunch. Bo Chang avoided the previous topic, which made Zillowa a little disappointed, and said, yes, are you going to eat? But, it seems that Sanyuki, Sing, and Kinke can't have lunch. The blonde queen shook her head. The three of them had been drunk by Bo Chang. How could there be a chance to have lunch? Bo Chang said, it's okay, just leave it for them. Then are you going to have lunch with me, or? Shiluwa glanced at San Yuchi's door. The meaning was very direct. I'd better stay and take care of them. After all, it's not very convenient to be drunk. What if you vomit? Bo Chang tapped his cheek. As for whether there are other ideas in his mind, only God knows. Shiluwa is quite sensitive, and she is very clear about the relationship between Bo Chang, San Yuchi, and Sing. As a bystander, she sees it very clearly. As for Bo Chang's idea of staying, Shiluwa didn't find it strange. The only bad thing was Jinke. It was a bit abrupt for the mahjong girl to fall inside. Shiluwa was also worried about the accidental discharge of the gun, so she said, then, I'll pack it for you and chat with you by the way. I've been too busy during this period and there's no chance. Indeed. Bo Chang rarely spent time alone with Shiluwa during this period. It was only when he first came to Luofu. Okay. Bo Chang agreed. The two parted in the corridor of the train. When Bo Chang entered the room, he saw Sing had sat up, and she tilted her head to look at the door. Like she was waiting for someone. Seeing Bo Chang coming back, Sing lay down again, mumbling, Bo Chang, I want to drink water. Under the influence of alcohol, the gray-haired girl was like a spoiled child. The cuteness level rose rapidly. Okay, I'll pour it for you right away. Bo Chang took action. Although the three girls were already drunk, but they have not completely lost consciousness for the time being. This was noticed when Bo Chang carried the three to the bed. Jinke was still saying no when she was carried up, and used her little hand to push Bo Chang's chest. This reaction has no effect except making people more excited. Sanyuki and Sing should be in better condition. Especially Sing. This can also be seen when everyone was drunk last time. At that time, the gray-haired girl even had the strength to push Bo Chang down. A cup of hot water was poured for Sing. Bo Chang walked to the bed, lifted up the other's delicate body, put the water cup to her soft lips, and said, drink slowly. Looking at Sing with half-closed eyes, she drank the water slowly with a red cheek. Bo Chang's little heart beat for a while. Just then, a palm of medium size suddenly pinched the soft flesh on Bo Chang's waist. This familiar feeling. No need to guess, Bo Chang knew who it was. March 7's hand went all the way down from the waist. Bo Chang remained calm, he just looked back silently. The pink-haired girl was lying on her side, her eyes slightly open, and her beautiful profile and delicate collarbone could be easily seen. The pure red on her face was supported by her snow-white skin. It can be said to be beautiful. The heavy fruit on her chest is also very tempting. Bo Chang's eyes swept across and finally fell on March 7's slightly opened and closed cherry lips. March 7 seemed to be saying something. One hand was still moving dishonestly. Bo Chang gestured with his lips, but still had no idea what the other party wanted to express. March 7 did not take back his hand. Bo Chang didn't intend to stop it either. The relationship between the two has reached a negative distance, so there is no need to be so shy about some things. Although He has not communicated in depth yet. But as long as Bo Chang wanted it, he knew that Scene would not refuse. The key is whether to guide. Now, Bo Chang is not in a hurry. It didn't take long for Silva to come over with food. Bo Chang had already put Scene's head on his lap and gently stroked her hair. March 7's rebellious little hand had retracted at some point. Both fell asleep. Zillowa put the packed meals on the table and said, "Come over and eat first." "Okay." Bo Chang rushed over and sat next to Zillowa. Meals are served on 2 plates. A long distance away. Bo Chang smelled the fragrance. The two of them were eating and chatting. "How are they doing now in March?" "I'm still drunk. If I want to wake up, I probably have to wait until the afternoon." Bo Chang replied like this. And over time, the influence of alcohol became more and more serious, and even March Chi and Scene couldn't hold back their sleepiness. Now in deep sleep. Maybe even pushing won't wake her up. Silva swallowed the food in her mouth. "Then what are you going to do next?" "I don't know, just take care of them." Bo Chang picked up a piece of lean meat. "After all, I got them all drunk, so I have to take responsibility." Responsibility. Silva sighed softly in her heart. The blonde lady stroked the strands of hair beside her ears and said, "GZI said that she will lead the next pioneering trip." "Yeah, I know, what's wrong?" "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 256. Bo Chang nodded. The Stardome train seems to have a shift system now. The first trip was Dan Hung, the second trip was Walter Yang, and the third trip was GZI. Maybe on the fourth trip, Bo Chang can also lead a team to have fun. After all, with Bo Chang's strength, it is more than enough to lead the attack. Silva poked at the food on the plate with her chopsticks. "Well, how should I put it? I don't plan to go on the next trip. I want to go back to Belloberg to rest for a while." "Huh? It's only been 2 days, are you already homesick?" Chapter 296. I want them all. I've only been away from Belloberg for a few days. Zillowa wanted to go back, which was unexpected by Bo Chang. But for everyone who has a teleportation ring, traveling between the Stardome train and the Yellow 6 is no different from going out for a stroll. Pella and Link were summoned to the Luofu Immortal boat before. "You can rest if you want to. I don't really want to move on my next pioneering trip, so I might as well take a rest." Bo Chang touched his chin. Carrying out 2 pioneering missions in a row, it can be said that the journey was full of dust. Ba Kame went head-to-head with powerful enemies on the Luofu Immortal boat. Feeling tired is normal. Silva joked, "How about going to Belloberg for a vacation?" "Okay." Bo Chang agreed immediately. Silva was stunned, not expecting that the other party would agree. Bo Chang asked, "Why, are you surprised?" "No. It just feels a little unreal." Silva shook his head, "You must have a lot to do." "You put it that way, I do have a lot to do." Bo Chang raised his head. he has not developed the power of various talismans in his body, including the power of fate, to its limit. Nowadays, the most developed one is the Dragon Talisman. This is also because Bo Chang's power is too complex and the time left for him is also very short. There is simply not that much energy to develop. But, it's precisely because there are so many things going on that I need to relax. That's it? Silva responded, and the two chatted elsewhere. A delicious lunch ended with a chat. Kinke, March 7th, and Seeing are still sleeping. Shiluways and Bakans are in this pink room. Played board games. Silva didn't leave the room until the three girls woke up. During this period, Bo Chang did not forget Jingliu. I took the time to solve the other person's physical problem. Treat it like a baby. There is nothing we can do about this. The demon sealing mouth flail is just a black mouth ball. It has a powerful sealing ability, but it doesn't look like it has very strong defensive power. If we let Jingliu do it by himself. Bo Chang was worried that something would go wrong, so he had no choice but to take matters into his own hands. Time turned and it was night again. Bo Chang's room. Two uninvited guests came one after another. March 7th, Seeing, they said they would come over to play cards, and they didn't leave until it was time to go to bed. Naturally left to sleep. Bo Chang lies in the middle, next to March 7th and the star. It's been a while since I went to bed. But Bo Chang couldn't sleep. The aroma lingers around the tip of your nose. March Chi and Seeing's breathing was gentle, as if they had fallen asleep. But it didn't take long. Bo Chang knew he was wrong. March 7th's slender fingers began to move flexibly. Bo Chang endured it several times, but finally couldn't hold it back and stretched out his hand. March 7th also took advantage of the situation and leaned forward. The whole person looks like a koala. Bo Chang blocked the opponent's hands and feet that were about to cross the line and whispered, "Don't make trouble." Seeing has fallen asleep, he won't wake up so easily. On March 7th, I blew into Bo Chang's ear. Seeing the pink-haired girl becoming more and more emotional. Bo Chang could only take March 7th and get into the storage bag. And used the skill of drawing the ground as a prison to isolate the two people in a small world to prevent the sound from leaking out. As for the mirror flow, Bo Chang was not worried about seeing her on March 7th. The woman with silver hair and red eyes had been put into a small wooden box and hidden. Mirror flow allows you to see the outside scenery. It was difficult for March 7th to see each other. Listening to the gasps coming from outside, Jingliu could only close his eyes tightly and think back to the sad things in the past. To avoid being disturbed by strange emotions. When new skills are acquired, Bo Chang became bolder and took the initiative to directly break the barrier between the two and become closer. Is divided by an harmonious line. The battle continues in the storage space. Jingliu looked on with a blushing face and heartbeat. I don't know if it's an illusion. Jingliu always felt that Bo Chang's eyes were looking at him intentionally or unintentionally. It's over. If I don't escape, sooner or later, I will definitely. Jingliu thought of this. I just feel creepy. Spring night once. Satisfied, Bo Chang took March 7th out of the storage bag. Star had no reaction. Bo Chang, who was in the sage's time, hugged Seeing with a sense of guilt, which woke up the gray-haired girl. Don't make trouble, March is nearby. Star whispered. Bo Chang did not stop making trouble. It's okay, March has fallen asleep, it won't be easy to wake up. Physical aspects. Bo Chang is quite powerful. In the case of the main attack, March 7th could not cope with it at all. Now I'm so tired that I fainted. Bo Chang didn't even have to carry the star into his storage bag. How about, go to my room? Don't want. Why? It's more exciting this way. Bo Chang blew into Seeing's ear, and her crystal clear ears suddenly turned red. Somehow, Bo Chang only felt that the scene seemed familiar. Star didn't resist. A mere dozen seconds, a wise man's time passed. The sleeping beast inside Bo Chang woke up. This time, Bo Chang did not let scene go. He was not satisfied yet and took down the gray-haired girl. The second barrier was broken. Is divided by an harmonious line. March 7th once opened her eyes, but finally fell asleep. Time slowly came to the next day. Bo Chang opened his eyes refreshed. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 257. I don't know when. Bo Chang has embraced her. Sanyuki and Sing are both leaning on his arms. Suddenly, Bo Chang is worried that the two will wake up at the same time. So, in order to prevent them from waking up, Bo Chang quietly gets up. As soon as he left, Sing and Sanyuki opened their eyes at the same time. They looked at each other and then looked away at the same time. The black tower doll sitting on the chair turned its head and looked at Bo Chang's back as he put on his clothes. There was a strange light flashing in his eyes. The journey of the Star Dome train is still continuing. Pinaconi's action plan. Bo Chang did not participate. He and Zillowa went to Baloberg for a vacation. This is also what the Star Core Hunter wants to see. Silver Wolf even asked Bo Chang to play outside for a while. Don't go back for the time being. This point, Bo Chang will definitely not agree. He has been recuperating in Baloberg and is also working hard to develop other powers. Time just slipped away quietly. Many years later, Bo Chang still recalled the happy times during his previous journey. Lying on the round big bed, Bo Chang touched his chin. Who should I call tonight? Maybe Jinglu. According to my information, Jinglu made his 321st escape this morning and has successfully sneaked into the starry sky. Huanlong said in his heart. Bo Chang grinned. It will be good to catch him again. My Black Shadow Corps has already been dispatched. Huanlong. At this time, the starry sky train has made a great reputation in the Milky Way. There are also many new faces on the train. These people are without exception. They are all good friends of Bo Chang. They travel together in the endless sea of stars and go to the unknown distance. This book was originally planned to be written for 1,000,000 words. However, I didn't expect the plot of Xingti to be so slow, and the author did not follow the main plot completely. For example, Baloberg directly finished it quickly, omitting a lot of the original plot. So the author wrote to the later stage of Luofu Xianzhou and could only slowly finish it. I know everyone wants me to continue writing. I have read all the readers' suggestions. But writing a completely original world in a fan fiction, it is too difficult to write well. If you are not careful, you will be criticized. Use daily methods to transition. Wait for the new plot. To be honest, I don't think I can persist until then. Even if I do persist, it will be very watery. It will only make the entire Pacific Ocean flood and become the Loch Ness Monster. It is almost enough to finish the existing space station, Baloberg, and Luofu ferry boat. Just bite the bullet and write. It is difficult to write well. And the theme of love is indeed difficult to write. I clearly think that the protagonist is perverted enough at some times. However, some readers still think it is not perverted enough. Sometimes it is too perverted. Readers are disgusted again. Faint.jpg. Stopping at the right place is the best answer I can give. If the next book can be put on the shelves, the author will strive to complete it with 2,000,000 words. If it cannot be achieved, I will dress up as a woman. Finally, thank you readers for reading this. The road ahead is long. See you again if we are lucky.